There are going to be a number of stages of how we successfully live on Mars. The first stage is to simply get humans there and establish a base and begin to expand the base. On Earth, you need food, shelter, water, and clothing to survive. On Mars, you need food, water, shelter, clothing, and oxygen to breathe, because the Martian atmosphere is only 1/100th as thick as Earth's, and it's 96% carbon dioxide, which is completely toxic to us. So in the initial stages, we will use machines like the MOXIE machine that is we're going to send a test MOXIE machine on the next Curiosity rover that gets launched in 2020 to Mars and test it out. That machine that we put on that rover, to just be a small box, will be capable of bringing in the Martian atmosphere and splitting off the carbon from the CO2. And that means that the Martian atmosphere actually is 72% oxygen when you get rid of the carbon, so it's no longer carbon dioxide. That little machine on that rover would be able to supply one human being with enough oxygen to live on forever. But that little machine is designed to be expanded 100 by a factor of 100, to be 100 times bigger. So we, in the years before we actually land humans on Mars, we will send a cargo supply to Mars with that MOXIE machine aboard, and it will begin making oxygen. And it will be able to make enough oxygen to keep 100 people alive every single day. But it will also be making oxygen for years before humans arrive and storing it, so we'll have oxygen. There's another machine that we will use initially called the wave arm machine, and it's a very simple device that has a fan that brings in the Martian atmosphere and passes it over a mineral called zeolite, which is very common on Mars and very common on Earth. And zeolite is like a sponge for water. And it turns out that the Martian atmosphere, almost every single night, is 100% humid. So if you bring the air in over this zeolite and it absorbs all the water out of the atmosphere, and then you crush the zeolite, or you compress it like a sponge, out comes water. So, and then there's food. On Mars, initially, we will try to grow as many plants as we can indoors, hydroponically, aeroponically, in greenhouse-like environments, although they may not actually be exposed to the sunlight. We may use artificial light. And we'll grow about 15 to 20% of our food, and that will be mostly for psychological value, because we like to eat fresh vegetables, and we like something crunchy in our mouth. The other 80% of our food supply, for probably at least the first 50 years on Mars, it has to come from Earth. So we need the population on Earth to survive for at least 50 years, because we're going to have regular supplies of freeze-dried food coming to Mars. Weight is a tremendous concern in bringing things from Earth, because it's very expensive. So we take the water out of the food that we will send to Mars, and everyone on Mars will be eating a lot of freeze-dried food, and we'll get really good at making it taste good.